And welcome to Let's Talk It All. I'm Anvil. Jeff couldn't be with us tonight, so it's just me. And I have with me tonight as our guest, this is Brooke from the Wildwood Sanitarium in Salamanca, New York. And this is a paranormal location that has been getting a lot of attention of late. And we wanted to talk to Brooke tonight and learn a little more about this location. So, Brooke, welcome.
Hi.
What can you tell me about the Wildwood Sanitarium? How do you get involved with this?
A little backstory on myself and my mother. We've been doing paranormal stuff for, a good amount of time now. And we kind of started as everyone else. We did one of those cheap Halloween special ghost hunts and then kind of got hooked on it. And here we are today. We own our own location and everything like that. At the time, we weren't really looking for a location. We were more just looking to start our own group, kind of, and expand in that way. And someone in town, because we're from a small town, Salamanca is small, and they said, are you still into that ghost crap? And so we're like, yeah, we are. And they're like, you should buy this house. It's an old hospital and it's super creepy and everyone gets such weird vibes from there and everything else. You should go check it out. So the lady gave us the address and we checked it out, and instantly, my mom was drawn to the building. She was obsessed. That's all it was about was, oh, we should buy this place. I need to buy this place. And she probably went and looked at it 5 times before he one day called her up on the phone and said, Lori, if you don't buy it, I'm going to list it with a realtor. So he kind of pushed us to get it. And so we ended up closing the house on July 4th of 2017. So we haven't owned it that long. Yeah, that's pretty much how it started.
Okay, so you said your mom had a feeling. Is your mom a sensitive, a psychic? Just has those gut reactions?
We're both mediums. Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. So you find this place, and it was a sanitarium back at the turn of last century, 1909, 1910. What has it been since then?
So, it was the sanitarium in, the beginning of the 1900s and stuff like that. And then when the whole tuberculosis epidemic happened, it became the largest tuberculosis hospital in New York State. And that was until the Perrysburg building opened up. We all know about that. So they did that. And then, the history part kind of falls off after that. It's really hard to find history on the place. And we think that's because they had another location in Little Valley, which is only like 10 minutes away. And that location actually burnt down. So we think a lot of the history and stuff like that was in that building because that was the main hub.
Okay.
So we try to find as much history as we can. We've been told in the 70s is when it first opened up as apartments. Right now the house has 3 apartments. That's how it's set up. So they had apartments and stuff there. And then in the beginning of the 2000s, a family bought it, and that's who we bought it from. They raised all their kids there, and he wanted to fix the roof and everything. He lost his job, and stuff happens. So he just kind of wanted to get out from under it, and that's how we got it.
Okay, so you said there's apartments now. Are people living there?
No one.
No one's living there now.
Nope.
Okay. were you able to meet, or do you know any of the folks that lived there prior to you taking
We've
over?
actually have met some people. Like, it's crazy. People are so attracted to this building that we'll be just doing some housework and they'll see cars out front and they'll stop and talk to us and tell us stuff about the house and everything, and it's always really cool. I remember one time we were just raking some leaves in the front yard and this car goes by really slow and you're like, okay, they're gonna pull over. And then they came back around and pulled over. And he's like, this house in the 70s was the house. It was crazy. We always had parties. I lived on the first floor. And I remember one night we were partying so hard that I fell through the front window. And it was just cool to talk to him about, how the house used to be.
Wow. We just finished an investigation this past weekend down in Rhode Island at the Conjuring House, which has a crazy history to it.
Yeah.
Any stories like that with the people that any that you've talked to that have lived there? Did they have bad experiences? Any kind of experiences?
Most of them, they'll say that they thought something was there, or they always would feel like they're getting watched, stuff like that. Not anything too crazy, except
Okay.
the one neighbor actually told us that she had a friend and she was a hairdresser and she lived up on the third floor. And every time she'd come home from a long shift or anything, her furniture would be rearranged.
Wow.
And so, that's crazy. And
That
she would
that's a lot
always
of.
move stuff back and everything, and it would be rearranged again. So, we've had little stories like that.
So you and your mom are both mediums. Do you investigate other things in the area? Have you been investigating other things in the area?
Not recently. We've been pretty married to the house right now, just because
Wonderful.
we're trying to get a roof on the building and everything. But in the past, we have done the Dudley Hotel, which is in Sameka, and that place has crazy history too. And it's unfortunate that now it's sitting there and it's completely empty and everything else. And with that building, it's so big, it'd be hard to restore something like that.
Right. So I guess I'm curious. What have you picked up in the house? What have you got other than psychic impressions or contact, as far as what the mainstream psychic paranormal media would say? What have you found as evidence that there's activity?
So when you talk to a lot of people, they always have really personable experiences. So I have a lot of personal experiences because so I had a son in 2018, and the night I went into labor and I had him, there was a group at the house. So my mom went there and she was with them for a little while. They started investigating, so she went into the basement with them and they had a spirit box. And over the spirit box, they kept getting my name, which happens all the time. They talk about me all the time. But then they had an ovulus also, and my son's name came over the ovulus, spelled correctly and everything, and it was crazy. I've had a lot of stuff happen like that. They love my son for some reason. I don't know why, but
How
they
old's your
talk
son?
about him.
How old's your son?
He just turned 2.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But so I've had stuff like that happen. My first experience ever at the house was actually not too long after we bought it. We were cleaning it up and everything because there was some stuff left over. And I was on the second floor in Tommy's bedroom, which is the little boy's room. And I was going through an old dresser and it had some kid clothes in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden I just felt like something was to my left. And to the left was the doorway and then an entrance to another room. And I looked over and there was a tall man, really tall, and he had a top hat on. And he just looked at me, smiled, and then started whistling and walked away.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's the first experience I ever had at the house.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So I've been to the house. My wife and I have been to the house. We were up there probably a little over a year ago. I think it was in June of 19. Daniel Class had some of his supporters of the Hinsdale House on a special investigation at there and the Hinsdale House that weekend. And the sanitarium is interesting. It's very it's active, but not in a mean, malevolent way, I guess is the way I want to say it. It's almost a subtle. A lot of it's very subtle. It's very, you get a whisper, you get a slight touch, you get a thing on the voice box or one of the ghost boxes. I know when we were there, the basement seemed to be very the basement itself is very unique.
Yeah.
Because that's where they did their therapy, which was a interesting combination of therapies put together. It was an hydro therapy, right? I'm probably not saying that right, but it's basically used low current electricity and water to achieve the results they were looking for with the patient. Which, if you stop and think about that, it sounds crazy that you're putting electricity and water, and that's going to work out, have a good ending. But they did a lot of that stuff there. And that's the first I ever heard of it when we were talking about it at the sanitarium. But the basement's where they did it. That was called they called it the pool room, right?
Yep.
They called it the pool room, and we were downstairs, and we had a voice box thing going, and there were times we could actually see it was and I know people hate them, but it was a phone app that was running Bluetooth through a speaker so we could hear it better. And there were times that we could actually see the speaker move on its own. It was like little hops. And there was nothing going on. It wasn't like it had like a strong bass voice going through it that would cause it to move. It was between things being said, and it was quiet. And if you watch, you can see little hops, little movements. And that's just crazy that a physical object moves like that. So I was mildly impressed with that. I thought that was very neat. So like I said, but it wasn't anything big, wasn't anything grand. But there is definitely things going on. Now, you do tours up there, or you have groups that do tours?
Yes, we do.
And who does that for you?
So we do a few different tour options. We have public investigations, where a lot of times it'll be myself or my mother. We also have another person that we bring in. His name's John Griffin. And he comes in and does a lot of our public investigations for us. And then recently we have a new paranormal team that has been helping us a lot. I mean, they have been a godsend. They have been helping us with the fundraising, with public investigations and everything else. And then we also do private investigations where you can actually rent the house. You and your team can have the house for an entire night, and pretty much we just leave you alone and you get the house.
I mean, I think anyone that follows the paranormal field would recognize the sanitarium. I believe Nick Goff has been up there.
Yes.
Nick and Katrina were up there, right? They did something up there. And I've seen some other shows that were up there doing it. So you've gotten the recognition. I find that's great. That
Yeah.
one, the place is just it's over 100 years old. Just the history with it alone makes it interesting. And then you start throwing things in there like bumps in the night and voices and action that just kind of just takes it to the whole next level.
Yeah.
So what have been some of the challenges with a unique fixer upper like this? I know you're doing the roof. The roof has been a big concern, and but what are some of the other things that like do you get any grief from the neighbors, from the city, anything like that, or
Um,
they behind it as well?
so I'm very lucky. I just graduated high school, and my teacher was the mayor's daughter.
Nice.
So we're really close with the city and everything like that. We're really supportive with the community. Um, we have it's a program through a school. It's called Big Picture,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a program for kids that just need a different learning atmosphere and stuff like that. And we had their entire school come out and do a tour of the house, and we showed them all of our equipment and everything like that. We really, community is super important to us because they've been helping us, and of course the house brings them business too. There's like a pizza place right next door to the house, and we always send business their way. The
Nice.
local hotels, they get business because people spend the night and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, so I mean, we are all about our community. I think one of the main challenges we've been having recently is we've had a few break-ins. So we have gotten an entire camera system for the house.
Oh,
We
good.
just did that not that long ago. Um, our neighbors, I mean, they all love us too. Our one neighbor, she's the cutest thing. She'll bake us cookies and stuff like that if she sees us working on the house or something outside. The other neighbor will talk to us all the time if we're outside.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they all are supportive of it. They're just happy that someone's doing something with the building. Because at one point the community was gonna knock the building over
Right.
and turn it into another gas station.
Oh,
Which
because
that's all Soundmaker needs is another gas station, right?
I hear you.
But the neighbors actually signed a petition saying that they wanted the house saved. Um, so that's how we got it.
Does the house, I guess we'll call it a house, the house qualify for historic landmark, or have you looked into that at all?
We have started trying to work on some of that stuff. Cattaraugus County, which is the county the house is in, they have a program called Enchanted Mountains, and they're the ones that have been helping us with that. They're really good with all of doing the landmarks and stuff like that.
Good. What we got going on here? Let's see. So I know I brought it up. I talked about the pool room downstairs. So, are you familiar with the techniques they were using? Enough to talk about them a little bit. I'm going to throw some pictures up on the screen. All right, let me throw some pictures up on the screen so anyone that's watching can kind of see what we're talking about as well. All right, so here's the first picture, and this guy, it looks like a bathtub. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. That's exactly what it looks like. Tell me a little bit about that.
So, the technical term for that is it's called electric battery baths. So basically, when you go down into the basement in the house, you'll see an electric panel on the wall to your left, and then on the floor there's a mark, and it's a circle, and it
Uh-huh.
almost looks kind of like it was something metal on the bottom because it's kind of rusted to the floor. Right. So they did those treatments a lot, and basically, I mean, there was like copper tubing outside of the tub that would run the electric.
So
that's a really good, the picture with the little girl. I mean, that is what we think our tub looked like because of the markings on the floor.
Yeah, that's again. These are actually photos that you have at the house in the basement. Yep. So yeah, you can definitely see the ring of something. Something was there in the middle. But yeah. So again, with the history, anything, things going wrong, people dying on the property, anything like that.
So we actually don't have any like documented deaths. The only thing that we've been able to find is older woman in the 70s had a heart attack outside of the house. That's the only like confirmed death that we have. But when you think about it, hospitals back then were very conservative about their records and stuff like that.
True.
And the house was a religious sanitarium. So it just, a lot of the records and stuff. And again, I think a lot of that stuff burned in that other sanitarium. I really think that's what's happening, and that's why we can't find a ton. A lot of our history we've gotten from newspaper articles and just little tidbits that we found.
Yeah, that's a lot of times that's how it goes. You got to really dig to find stuff.
Yeah.
And then hope that the information you're getting is correct, and you got to double check that. And like I said, I know we just came from the Rhode Island house, and so much of the known history was wrong, just lore and exaggerated stories. That when you start to peel back the onion and find out what the real things are, it's not quite as dramatic, but it's just as interesting. All right, so you're doing some restorations. You got an event coming up this weekend, correct?
Yep, this Saturday.
And what's that all about?
So the event, we're calling it Raise the Roof. So we're having a psychic fair and a vendor show. And we're inviting people to come check out the house. We're doing tours of the house. And the tours will be run by myself and my mother. So you'll get to meet us and, hear more about the house and everything. And then after that, we're doing an investigation, which is actually already sold out.
Really?
Yeah, it's already sold out. It sold out super fast. So we'll be having readings and everything else like that. We've kind of kept the numbers of vendors and stuff at a minimum just because of COVID. And we have, a plan set for that too, just to make sure everything's disinfected and everyone's safe.
Oh yeah, you gotta stay in the guidelines. So that's good. So you've got readers and you've got vendors, and I think you doing some auctions. You're auctioning off some stuff or raffling off some items. Let's see if I can find those things. Oh, this is the one thing that jumped out. This is being auctioned off or raffled off?
I believe auctioned, yeah.
So this is, and maybe you can explain it. This is Tim Shaw is a psychic in a regional from the region, and what are we looking at?
So this is actually a piece of the original cedar shingle from the roof. It's actually pretty crazy. When we started doing work on the roof last summer, we were peeling back some of those layers of shingles and stuff. And the house actually has its original cedar shingles.
That's crazy.
And then it has like a bunch of layers of shingles on top of it. So that's why a lot of the damage is happening because the roof is so heavy.
Oh yeah, that's even normal roofs current day, after one or two shingles, shingling, they strip everything down to the wood and add new, because it does get crazy crazy kind of heavy. What else we got going? So this is one of your special guests.
Yes, it is.
Tell us a little bit about Jack.
Well, Jack is awesome. I mean, he's always supported us and everything like that. He's been to the house a few times. He's been on a few shows. And Carly will be coming with him too for the event.
Nice. Who else? And Carly. You just talked about Carly, right? So she's going to be there. But then I think there was a late arrival to the special guest, and this gentleman, Johnny Perotti.
Yeah, I personally don't know too much about him. Actually, Deidre from our new paranormal investigation team got a hold of him. So I'm excited to meet him. And
yeah, it seems like an interesting fellow.
Yeah, he does. I'm excited to meet him.
Okay. And then these are some of the people I knew about it. There might be more. I'm just going with what I could find. And as far as the readers, there's Reverend Sarah Carr. And I think she does auras and something else. I can't remember what it was now. Alani, psychic medium, who's my wife, and we're coming up from Binghamton. And myself, Jameson James, which is my professional show name. And I'll be doing tarot card readings. And then the vendors I could find, Salt City Paranormal Investigators are going to be there.
Yep.
Spell Witches, and this one seemed interesting. From what I could gather, she makes dolls, witches, and then she called it program them, but she can make them do different things.
Yeah, and we'll actually have one of these dolls in the auction.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. Then I saw some handmade crafts by Lisa, and those look very nice. And then I saw some very interesting geodes and stones and things like that made into jewelry by Brandy and Kim. So there's going to be lots to see, lots to do there. So I'm really, again, anyone that's listening, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors. It's free to show up, right? You can just show up. Not going to cost you anything to show up. The tours are going to be, there's a cost for some of the tours, but those are minimum costs. And then the vendors will be charging their own prices for their own goods. I know myself and Alani are doing $20 specials as far as readings, and we hope to generate some funds that way to kick back to the project as well for this fundraiser. So we're definitely looking forward to that. So
we'll also be having T-shirts, and I have one here, but it'll be kind of hard to see. So yeah, I'm not sure if you can see that. But
let me jump. Yeah, hold on. Let me get you. All right, throw it up there so we can get a good shot of it.
Okay.
Those are the new ones. Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah. So, we have never had T-shirts before. It's just something we always talked about, and we just never did it. So we finally got shirts. So these are the first batch that's ever been made, and our first design. So we'll be selling these two for $20 a piece.
Nice.
And all of the funds go to the sanitarium. So
good. So again, it's I've called it a fixer upper, but it's not just the roof. There's other things that can be done too on top of that, right?
Yeah. So we actually have a GoFundMe page, and on that page we set our goal as 15,000. And people kind of questioned us about that, but when you see how large the building is, first off, I mean, it's gonna take a lot of people to rip up the roof and all the materials and everything. But we also set it at that because there is extensive water damage inside the house. Right. And I have uploaded pictures of a lot of the damage on the GoFundMe page. But especially the one front bedroom, everyone calls it the doll room. That's where
Mm-hmm.
all the dolls are. That is the worst damage. There's actually starting to begin a hole in the side of the wall because the water is running inside the wall.
Wow.
We have that patched up pretty good, but it is going to need replaced. And then we have another room in the back corner that has extensive wall damage from all the water and everything like that. The main kitchen on the first floor, the ceiling has all water damage from the water leaking right through onto the first floor. So, I mean, there's a lot to fix to make
Well,
it,
right.
stable.
And I don't think people understand. Well, there's not, and there's that, but there's also the everyday upkeep. There's the
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
there's the month in and month out bills. I mean, this is not you don't rent out the rooms upstairs to tenants.
No.
So you're not getting income from that. Are you or any of your family living there as a home residence?
No.
All right, so now you're paying a mortgage, utilities. So I've got scrolling across the bottom is your Patreon page,
Yep.
and this basically it's a way to fundraise every month. You can donate anywhere from $1 to 3 to 5 to whatever, and you can do it a one-time deal, or you can do it from month to month to month. And just so people know, this is that kind of helps defer some of the. It defers the electric, it defers the heating.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know how much was done as far as insulating the place or making it, energy efficient.
Yeah.
But
That's
the heat,
another thing. I mean, the electric on the entire second and third floor needs to be redone at some point.
right?
We did that on the first floor to even open the place. We had to redo all the electric on the first floor. Because it was the old like copper tubing electric. I mean,
Right.
so we got at least the first floor done with that. Um, I mean, even to open the place, we had to completely redo the front porch, and the back porch to make it secure and stuff like that. As of right now, we have to replace our back door because of a break-in. Um, the door was completely shattered, so we do have to fix that too before winter. Um,
So did they break in and vandalize? They just broke in because they wanted to look around. Do you think, or was anything missing?
the house was vandalized a little bit. I mean, it wasn't too extensive damage. It's more of, people know it's there and they know it's easy to break into. I mean, there's broken windows on the top floors and everything else. So people, they just don't have respect for the
No,
place.
that's true too. And again, those aren't cheap to replace either. I
Yeah.
know Daniel from the Hinsdale house is replacing his windows now, and that was a costly project too. That
Mhm.
anything will help. So, uh, again, anyone that's listening, we got people here, people on YouTube. This is a way. $3 a month. What's it? $3, even $5 a month. 10 people contribute $5 a month. That's $50. That
Yep.
defers some of the electric. That helps pay for this, that, and the other thing. And it supports this historic landmark that's also haunted. I mean,
Yeah.
you get the best of both worlds on that. So, anyone listening, talk to your friends, watching. Um, this is a great way to show support. If you can't make it there to investigate, if you can't help out that way, $5 a month comes right off your credit card, debit card, PayPal account, whatever it is, and it goes right back into the house. It's a great deal. Um,
And our
so
Patreon members, they get special merch releases. So anytime that I make anything new or anything, I always send it to them first. So they
nice.
get first dibs on everything. They get all the exclusive updates on what we're doing with the house, all the exclusive updates on the event, all of the special guests and everything was announced on the Patreon page before the general public even knew.
Nice.
So
That's another perk.
We definitely treat them well.
That's another perk for a few bucks a month for couch change.
Yeah.
You know, from that. So, anything else you want to tell us about the house, or anything that comes to mind that would be an interest to folks right now? We got the event coming up. I want people out for that. What else can you tell us from these last few minutes?
Yeah, basically, I mean, we're just trying to raise these funds so we can get a roof on the house before winter. We're really hoping, to save it. We're not really sure if the house will make it through another winter. I mean, last winter was really hard on the house.
Well, that's a tough area for winters too up there.
Yeah, and like every thunderstorm, I mean, we're all racing to make sure the sanitarium is okay. Because, I mean, we'll be emptying buckets and buckets of water from inside the house.
All right. So, anyone listening, anyone watching, anyone that's going to be listening or watching, let's try to help these folks out. This is a great cause. This is a great thing they're doing up there. Go to the GoFundMe page for the Wildwood Sanitarium. Throw some bucks there. Jump on, become a patron of the restoration project, and give them a little bit each month. Show up in Salamanca next Saturday between 11 and 5, and take a public tour. Get your cards read, get your oars read, buy some jewelry, grab yourself a spell witch, which sounds like it's the North American version of a voodoo doll, but we'll see what it's all about. And help these folks out. Brooke, I appreciate you taking time to talk to me today. And I hope that we have a good show. We'll be up there. My wife and I'll be up there Saturday. And
Awesome.
I'm hoping to see lots and lots of people. So again, thank you for joining us. And again, this will be rebroadcast as an audio podcast on Let's Talk It All. And as always, it's on the Let's Talk It All Facebook page. And you can always replay if there's something you missed or something you need to re-see. So again, thank you.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you in a few days.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.